I'm just going to be blunt and tell you that I support the London riots. I hope that they continue to burn tonight. They and loot and take. I hope they steal everything they can get their hands on, and I hope they continue to burn buildings. They need to spread onto government buildings and to rich people's houses and all of that. That's what they need to do. Spread outside of the community that they're in and keep spreading, despite the crackdown that is going to happen tonight. That's just inevitably going to happen. Because regardless of what people say, whenever anything in the Middle East happens, if there's a riot, it's called a democratic uprising. All of a sudden, we should support them. We need to stand united with those people because they're standing up against a repressive regime that doesn't give a shit about them, this, that, and the other. But as soon as it happens in a Western country, in your country, in the United States or the UK or any country like that, then it's a riot that needs to be put down quickly and violently. That makes no sense to me. Why is it that Egypt, all these countries, we supported them, but then when it happens in our own backyard, we can't support them. All of a sudden, the narrative switches, and all of a sudden, it's the people that's wrong. It's the people that's wrong for doing it. So here it is. You have a community that has had high unemployment for a very long time, no educational opportunities. What else? You have race issues going on where police have been harassing, black, especially young black men in that community. Then when they riot, it's an issue. Well, how is that not democracy in action? The government was not taking care of the people, just like the Middle Eastern governments weren't taking care of their people, and so the people took it into their own hands. And then the first thing the media always want to do is they want to always try to discredit any legitimacy. They only want to tell you one side of the damn story, which is always about the looting. That's the number one thing. It's always about the looting, as if looting didn't happen in every kind of uprising. The Middle East was a little bit different, mainly because you talking about Egypt and Libya, they didn't have shit anyways. But looting still, the little they did have, people were still looting, and the first thing people were doing was stealing from museums. Remember in Egypt, they had to make a human chain to prevent people from making sure people wouldn't steal from the museum. So don't tell me that that's just like this thing that only black people seem to do. No, people all over the earth do it. Whenever there's a damn uprising, that's what happens. Is people loot, and people have every right to, because they got to have some kind of way to survive after, we don't know how far this stuff is going to go. What if they do cripple? They may not cripple the entire country. They may cripple their city. They may cripple their area. They got to have some kind of way to survive. And I don't blame them. And not only that, but why is it looting? It's always looting, just like in Katrina. It's looting. Black people looting, white people finding food to survive. It's always this double standard when it comes to people of color looting. How about we call it redistribution of wealth? How about that? Maybe that's what it really should be called, redistribution of wealth. You got all the wealth, I ain't got no job, you won't provide an environment for me to take to find a fucking job, so I'm gonna just take your shit. How about that? Ugh. And then, I had read this little article where they had this picture of this old 98-year-old white man, and how sad it was that his small business, which was a barber shop, got ransacked by the looters. Do I feel bad for him? Yeah, I feel bad for him because, it wasn't personally his fault. This is a systematic, issue that their government has, that our government also in the United States has. But it wasn't his fault personally. But at the same time, the saddest story is here he is, 98 years old, when he can retire, and give his job up to somebody else. He ain't got to sell his store. He can give his job up. Here he is still working when all these other people are unemployed. That's sadder to me. So and not only that, but who's really hurting? He'll either retire or he'll rebuild. It's not really much of an issue. Keep it moving. But it's just the whole thing just irks me that whenever there's a riot, the media does everything they can to quell that shit because this is in their best interest. Because people forget that these people got money. The media got money. The people that run the media own the media. Even the BBC, they may not be corporate owned, but they government owned. People are so quick to take the side of the oppressors and not the oppressed. And it's just kind of really sickening to me. And that's all I really got to say about it. I'm not going to get too in depth over it because I'm just kind of done. One more second, just for 2 seconds. Another thing I just really wanted to point out is that the same way that these other countries, Egypt, Syria, all of these countries, the way that they quell these uprisings or riots, whatever word you want to call them, the same way they do is the same way that Western countries do as well. So that's the hypocrisy in all of this, is that the United States and the UK and Spain and France and all these other countries, they can talk all the shit they want about democracy, but as soon as democracy takes action, that's when every single country, which are all run by rich people in every country, doesn't matter if you conservative, liberal, whatever. They all rich. The rich people rule. Poor people don't have nothing. You see the same response. It's police and riot gear with tear gas, batons, and rubber bullets. That's how they quell every uprising, regardless of country. So when the West is trying to tell the Middle East or any other area how they need to treat their people, maybe they need to take a strong look in the mirror and see how they treat their own people. Because let me tell you, happy citizens don't riot. Only unhappy citizens riot. So if the government is not taking care of its people, the people have every right to riot, overthrow, whatever, to get their way. And that's all I'm going to say about it.